My grandmother was a complicated person. She was unfailingly elegant. I don't think I ever saw her without perfectly coiffed hair, a tasteful, appropriate outfit, probably some statement jewelry. She made the best blintzes I've ever had. She was impatient and demanding. She had a terrifying temper. Saying the wrong thing or failing to help with the dishes or sometimes just being in the way when she was in the wrong mood could set off an explosion seemingly out of nowhere. Our family shorthand for these episodes was California Pizza Kitchen, after a birthday dinner there that ended with my grandmother shouting at us and storming out of the restaurant. I don't remember what the fight was about, but I do remember that no one felt much like opening birthday presents afterward. I saw this in glimpses, in weekly family dinners and holidays gone sideways. My mother was marked by growing up with it every day. I remember watching my grandmother with her dog, which was always a big standard poodle, and seeing how she could be loving and affectionate one minute and berating and swatting at the poor dog the next. My mom would say, that's what it was like when we were kids. My grandmother died a year ago, after years lost to dementia. My mom died 3 months before that, suddenly and far too soon. Some of my mom's health problems were just genes or bad luck, but knowing how the body responds to stress, I can't dismiss the effect of years of holding her breath, waiting for the explosion. At Rosh Hashanah last year, I was grieving both of them and wondering how to make tshuva with someone who's no longer around. One of the meanings of the root of teshuva is to cover over, like turning a new page, or like the way we cover over our loved ones at burial. When we say we buried something, we usually mean that we've suppressed it and we're working hard to pretend it never existed. But that's not how it is when we bury those we love. We've covered over their bodies, but their voices remain in our heads. The scars they left may recede, but they don't disappear. Burial is also a planting. Our bodies get to become part of the grass and the trees, and our memories can germinate into something new. The rituals of mourning force you to remember that a person is never just one thing. As we wrote my grandmother's obituary, we dug out newspaper clippings that my mom had carefully compiled. A Lifetime Achievement Award for her volunteer service, her work to set up the first suicide crisis hotline in Dallas in 1968. We remembered California Pizza Kitchen, and also how she took us to the farmer's market and showed us how to smell the peaches to find the sweetest ones, and how she doctored up the gefilte fish every year for Passover. Which is not to say it got easier to understand. How can a person who spent decades advocating for better mental health awareness simultaneously fail to understand how her own anger and anxiety was hurting the people she loved? With a little distance, it was easier to see how circumstances shaped my grandmother's life. She married my grandfather in 1953, when that must have been virtually the only path that seemed viable. Would she have been calmer, happier, kinder, if she had been able to pursue the work she was interested in, or if she had not felt obligated to spend decades in an unhappy marriage? Maybe. I truly don't know. And I didn't know my grandmother's mother or the mothers before her, but I've told that they were their own varieties of anxious and angry. The generations had built up a deep well of unintentional hurt. As I've learned about Shemitah, I've been struck by the obligation to hit a reset button. It's not that planting crops or taking on debt are bad things to do necessarily, but when they start to pile up, generation after generation, that's when cycles get hard to break. The debt becomes overwhelming. It starts to shape your view of the world. It becomes impossible to imagine things any other way. Shemitah tells us, stop the cycle. Let the land rest. Forgive the debts. Maybe you'll end up taking on new ones. Maybe not. But right now, at this point in the calendar, start over. Let it go. I wish I could tell you that I'm no longer angry with my grandmother for the way she hurt me, my mother, and our family. A part of me still is. And I've also come to recognize that the things that most frustrated and scared me about my grandmother are the parts of her that I see in myself, my impatience, my temper. This is the debt that I've inherited. This year, I'm working to understand the generations of piled up anger and fear that the women in my family grapple with, and to let them go. Just as burial is a kind of planting, maybe letting this ground lie fallow for a while, something new and expected will have a chance to grow. To tell the story of someone's life and death is to understand our own lives differently too. What will matter at the end? The ways we hurt each other, the ways we were kind, the ways we were ahead of our times, and the ways we were constrained by them. When I remember my grandmother's life, I try to remember all of her. I can feel my anger and disappointment with her, nudging me toward patience and kindness in my own life, including the kindness to grant some forgiveness and release to her memory. May the memories of those we love regenerate in our lives, and may they be for blessing.